This right here is one of the most insane Nike commercials I've ever seen in my entire life, and I also am, kind of familiar with them because I've been lucky enough to edit some of my own. Here's a little sample from a Nike commercial I edited a couple years ago, and yeah, this one's absolutely nuts. So I'm gonna. Oh, by the way, Franklin's here. Everybody say hi to Franklin. Hi. All right, you can go now, too. Thank you for being a good sport. But yeah, this thing's absolutely cracked, this Nike commercial. And so we're just gonna break it down from an editing perspective, see what we can learn, and hopefully apply it to our own work. So this is only, I think, 45 seconds. So we're just gonna watch the whole thing, and then we'll go back and break it down. So here we go. You see what I mean? This is absolutely cracked. Oh my goodness. This is so good. It's so good, bro. The masking, this part, bro, insane. The match cuts. Okay, so that's it. All right, that's the whole commercial. I gotta turn it up a little bit so I can hear it better. It's nuts. Okay, so let's break it down from the beginning. And on this channel, I'm just trying to give you as many tips. I like to break down music videos, break down commercials, and try to give you as many things as I can to help you become a better editor and go further in your career. So if that's something that you're interested in, you could subscribe. That would be cool if you wanted to. I have lots of stuff. So the thing here that I want to talk about initially is the amount of sound design is crazy. Every single tiny thing that happens has a sound to go with it. And I mean, the pretty much the only things that you're hearing that's probably what's captured on set is like this when he's yelling. And maybe that wasn't even captured on set. That could also be post, but pretty much primarily everything is created in post. So anything that happens visually on the screen has a sound that goes with it. So this is in collaboration with a little company called 8 Lines. And so I think that's why we have all like these 8s right here at the beginning. So we have a little bringing that on, and a little for every single time it goes to 0. So the clock sets to 0. And then we have some fast cuts. Now people ask me all the time about fast cuts, like how the frick do you do it? Where do you put it? How, like what's going on? And so I'll give you a few tips with that, but we're just slowly pushing in, setting the precedent. We have a sound for every single thing, and especially with fast cuts, you have to have sound with it, guys. You have to have sound. So almost every single shot within this, there's a few distinct shots. Almost every single shot has its own distinct sound, and that even applies for a lot of the longer shots too, especially in the intro. So we don't have music in the beginning other than like a boom, so it's very minimalistic, very sound design heavy. So right here, and since this is black and white and very filmic looking and lots of grain, we are using a ton of inverts. And there's like a little bit of red in here, which looks really sick too. So, and lots of times you want to use a ton of motion blur on your fast cuts as well. And one thing that's helpful for capturing lots of extra motion blur is shooting with low shutter. So if you turn the shutter speed down, you'll get extra motion blur in your shots. And so if you shoot some shots or you just whip the camera around, get a lot of motion blur, that helps. Okay, so we want to create contrast too with the fast cuts, and one thing that helps with contrast is stillness to motion. Another contrast we could introduce is darkness to brightness, and so if you invert stuff, we have like a white frame and a dark frame, and that helps a lot. So we start with white frame, and then we head to a darker frame. I don't know how they shot this. It looks so cool, where it's just very black and white. It almost looks like there's a little filter. Little filters with motion, like streakiness and motion blur is also really popular right now. So there's one sound for that shot, another sound for this shot, and then here we're trying to create a match cut, or just kind of do the matching game. So we're just showing shoes and whipping from, left to right. And then we do an inverted shot of faces also whipping from left to right. So we get that repetition, you get a match of camera movement and a match cut. But I think there's 2 different sounds for each of those shots. Yeah, so it starts with like a ta-ta-ta-ta-ta because it kind of looks like that as the 2, you know, it almost looks like a spinning wheel, you know, with the little you guys know what I'm talking about. I don't know what it's called, like the Wheel of Fortune wheel. And so we really lean into that with the sound design, and we have like a lower sound and then a higher sound once we get to here. And then our boy like yells at the camera, and we do something that's a little bit unique. You do like a tiger roar. So lots of times you don't want to actually have literal sound effects when you're working with sound design. You want to think a little bit outside the box. Think about something that doesn't quite make sense, but could work. So if a dude's going at the camera, like, why not make him roar? I don't know. And right there, we also have a few inverts. So we have like just his normal shot, and then we like just punch in on his mouth, invert it, and then invert it back normal. But then we're just really close up on the mouth and do a little fade out. So, you know, if you need a little extra energy, feel free to punch in, punch out, add a little camera shake. We'll see that throughout. So then right here we have a riser. So the camera's like pushing in and, you know, kind of getting close, and it kind of creates this feeling of anticipation just visually. If we just muted it, that's what it makes us feel. And so we add that in with sound with a riser that's like a ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. So it kind of increases anticipation, which is pretty cool. And then, that's like its own sound. And then we cut to this shot, which also has its own sound. So we're continuing to increase anticipation because we have, you know, like a little, I think it's like a film projector sound. And then the lights in the stadium are flashing, and so we match a heartbeat to it. Because it's like that feeling before you're getting to start running. You're a little bit nervous, your heart's beating fast, you're like, there's so much anticipation. So we're creating that with a little bit of longer shots, with the heartbeat matching to the flashing of the lights. And the other thing that's a little bit weird is we have like a lot of mechanical sounds, or it almost sounds like construction. I don't really know why that's in there. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but you know, that's what I mean by we're like, put some kind of like soundscape in there and think outside the box. Think of something weird that doesn't really make sense. And lots of times it works. Okay, now we have what's called a stop down in the sound. So lots of times you have a riser that rises up and then you cut everything out, or you have a hit, which is like a, and then there's like usually a line or something that's said that fills that little gap. So you create intensity, you cut it off, fill the gap with something insane. And then lots of times that gap creates almost like a vacuum of sound. So it's like, and then it really creates a lot of impact when you like just punch in after that. So you vacuum of sound, punch in. So that's what they did. Vacuum of sound, we hear the dude yell in this little close-up. And then quick cuts and bro's gonna start running. So, and now we're off to the races. But what you would expect is there to be like a big like, musical number come in. It's like da 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 da, you know, something that's like that. That's what you would expect, and that's probably the cheesy answer. That's probably what I would have done, which is not the best thing. But what they did is subverted expectations and just stuck with sound design still. So like it's so good, bro. The like sound texture, like everything is so freaking good. Oh my goodness. So let's break it down. So as we cut to, we have like a little, like a really high end, that sound. And so adding those little quick, like these little flashes are also very reminiscent of film. So just, you know, you could literally add a white frame and then fade it out. Works super well. And then we have this fist that he makes right in the middle of the frame. And then we match cut to that to somebody yelling. So the fist match cuts to somebody's mouth. And again, we have raised exposure, an inverted shot, and then normal. And then we invert it to go out of it too. So lots of times on those cuts, you want to have flashes, and you can use inverts. Oh, excuse me, my nose is running. That's so embarrassing. So you can use inverts, you can use just exposure, you can literally add white frames, and those flashes really, really help. Right here, this is probably a slow shutter shot of him just running. Oh no! Where's my... Oh my goodness. Stop. My alarm's going off. It's 1. At 1, I like to try to pray for people and ideate things, but I'm filming this right now, so we'll do that later. We'll do that after I film this. So here, this is one of the most insane parts, bro. So this is, again, slow shutter, so that's why you get extra motion blur. It makes it look even crazier. So we get tons of motion blur, which creates a ton of energy. We get a POV of us running. Now check out this. This is one of the craziest cutting sequences I've seen in a while. We have these like little lights out here in the background. And what do we do but we match cut that little light in the background up here, maybe it's stadium lighting, I don't know what it is, to a light lighting up the track, like a little flashlight that's moving and then reveals a shadow. One of the craziest match cuts I've seen. Usually you match cut like a main element to a main element, but we match cut a background element to like a background element. That's freaking sick. And then right when we reveal that shadow right in the middle, so our eyes start up here, come down here following the light, our eyes are right in the middle now, match cut right to this. Right in the middle, out of focus, the clock is now going nuts. We have camera shake. You can actually like put camera shake in post. You just have to make sure you have this directional blur and this motion blur, which you have. I mean, you can see that right there. Like this is not in focus, it's not sharp at all. That's it. Nuts. Okay, now we start adding some effects. All of this was just simple cutting, and you can make amazing commercials just with simple cutting like this, just with, you know, there's nothing too crazy happening, but now the craziness ensues. So, I mean, that's just so quick. Right here, all it is, this is a pretty simple effect to do. You just, as he's running, you take a freeze frame and right here, and then you just continue the shot on top. Take a freeze frame, take a freeze frame. It takes a little bit of rotoscoping for the person that's running at the top, but see, this is such a like out of focus shot. You don't even need the best rotoscoping. It's just, it's pretty simple, and you just do it with a static shot. So I'm sure you could look up a tutorial on how to do this effect, but it's really cool. Now we're having a lot of repetition, so let's listen to the sound again. The sound is very like which is a pretty repetitive sound, and then so we're getting a lot of visual repetition to match that. So again, this is a static shot. You just have the dude run by a few times. This is like 3 or 4 different shots cut together of him running by, and you just add a digital zoom on it to create some camera motion, which helps sell the effect a little bit. Same there. And so right there, again, we're creating a riser. So visually, we had a riser, stop down, he yells, he starts running, crazy sound effects, another riser to this moment right here. And as it gets more intense, the riser is something that goes like, and you can just feel it, like you emotionally just feel the intensity rising. The cutting speed gets quicker. The camera shake gets crazier. We have 3 different shots. Oh, we have 3 different, oh, I lost it. Oh, right here. We have 3 different shots of this clock, just for fun, you know? More cutting equals more intensity. We have repeated shots of him running. It's craziness. And then we get to this 8 thing, which is teased in the beginning, just a bunch of 8s, which is, you know, that one brand. So maybe bro just runs so fast that he just reaches infinity speed, which this fire infinity sign is so cool. I love how we just started with a little mask transition, and it could be on a blend mode too, so you just get the fire coming through. But or it could just be good timing where the fire starts in this corner and you don't intersect with the little time code thing, and this just looks beautiful. And right when it starts to intersect, not intersects, excuse me. Once it starts to intersect, we fade out the time code, and it's so visually beautiful to watch in motion. And then really quick, It's just like super quick break, and then we get right back into the action with some screaming and some insert shots of the fire. And this is just some digital camera shake added, which creates a little bit of, you know, motion blur, and it creates intensity. So if you ever need a little more intensity, just add digital camera shake. Pretty fun. You can just literally keyframe position, and that's all you do. All right, now it's getting crazier. Now there's a whole group. And again, here we go. Camera shake. So we just had a normal shot here, and we wanted to create a transition between this fisheye lens and this shot. We're like, okay, how do we do that? Oh, let's add a camera shake in between the edit points. So it starts the camera shake right here, continues the camera shake, and there we go. Now we have a little match cut with the camera shake. This looks like fake slow-mo, like everything's a little like goopy, for lack of a better word, in the way that they're running. It kind of looks like optical flow a little bit, but it looks cool. And now all hell is breaking loose in a good way, not a bad way. it's just going crazy. So we have a little match cut here. We go from the track, and then we fade to this little I don't know what you call this bike lane arch hallway. And it's just the exact same. I mean, it's not even the exact same, but you have people running by the camera, and it's sped up. And now we have music. Hold on. Right here. This is like, I don't know, like the music is also very minimalistic, and so it still kind of just sounds like sound design, but I think it's actually like we have instruments that we're using. And now, masking mayhem. So cool. Okay, so let's break this down. The whole rest of the commercial is gonna have a ton of masking as like a new style. So right here, this is just an overhead shot. I don't know if they actually were moving it or if they moved the overhead shot digitally, but we just find lines and create borders and masking. So here's one shot. There's probably a little shot in the background here, and then another shot here. So this is 3 shots together. And you can see here's another overhead shot that we're just revealing. And then we use a pole right here, mask across there. And so really quick right there, here's a shot. Use this pole again, mask it to a new shot right there. Use the edge of this fence right here, mask it to a new shot right there. So it's just similar tracking movement across, masked all together. And then there's 2 more. So there's another masking shot. Here's a new shot, another masking shot, and now we're in this banger of a moment. So all this is pretty much, it's pretty easy to do. It's just like, even as a still, you just take 1, 2, 3, 4 shots that are pretty much the exact same lens, you know, going down a track, going down a hallway. Now the trick is it's moving, and what you want is the frame to not move. And you can do that by just animating the way that it crops, or the way that usually you just, you know, have everything cropped but animating in a little bit at the exact same rate. So you can do this with motion controlled cameras. That's probably the best way to do it, so you get a really consistent camera speed going forward. And then so when you're cropping it and it's animating, it doesn't actually change. It stays very consistent. So that's probably what they did. But you literally feels like you're going through doorways, which is so cool. And it doesn't even have to be that perfect. You'll still get that weird trippy effect. Okay, did you see that? Like, look at these match cuts, bro. This is, now I showed you my little match cuts in my Nike commercial. This is not, hold on. Okay, so here's my Nike commercial. This commercial is so freaking lame. Okay, so you can see I matched people pretty close. This is like way better than what I did. Hold on, what happened here? Not picture in picture. I want to go full screen. Oh no, this is what happens when you get uncut stuff. So, okay, these match cuts. Look at the way, like, obviously when they're running, they're bouncing and they're moving around a lot, but we were able to match from this lady to this guy bouncing, coming up, to this guy coming down, to this guy, to that lady, to that, like, they're moving around like crazy. And so finding those match cuts and those perfect moments when they're bouncing and like matching the motion together within the match cut is so freaking good. And then obviously we just start, you know, we want to get this nice little logo animation for this 8, which I guess there, I see the infinity. I see where it comes in now. It's a track, it's infinity, it's 8, it's so many things. But we just start with a ton of motion blur coming across the screen, which then gives us permission to do more motion blur on this track line of people running by. And we start with one shot right here, just a little overhead, probably zoomed in. The nice thing about this is it's so grainy and so like bad footage quality that you can probably zoom in like infinitely and it doesn't really matter. You'll just throw grain over it and it'll look fine. That's why I love putting grain on stuff, is because you can make bad footage look good pretty easily. Anyway, so you start there, we start the spin, just focusing on this line, and then we cut to a wider shot once the line gets pretty vertical right there. And then that starts the logo animation. Oh, dude, this is so good. Oh, it's so good. And then obviously you get your little 8s at the end. It's full circle. You know, you could probably loop this thing perfectly. So that's pretty much it. That's the commercial breakdown. If this was helpful for you, that's awesome. Please subscribe. That would be great. If you want to learn how to make editing your career, I have a specific video of my process for making the perfect editing career that, you know, if I had to start from scratch, this is how I would do it. Or even if you're in the midst of your career and you want to improve upon it, go check out that video. The link will be in the description. And yeah, if this was helpful, let me know what else you'd like me to break down. For me, it's just fun to you know, try to get better and learn and share my findings with you. So I hope you enjoyed. God bless you. Peace.